EAGLES, Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. Wrapping up the week here, the Eagles wrapped up their mandatory minicamp this week. Johnny Mack, how you doing on this Football Friday, my friend?
Doing well. Gearing up for the big summer break, the big UFL championship game. That's this week. I just found that out.
Ooh, is it the championship game is this week? Maybe I will find some time to tune into the UFL.
I think it's this week. I got a preview from Rick Saratella, so I'm trusting Rick.
Rick is a trusty guy. Rick is a trusty
June 13th, Saturday, June 13th, 3 p.m. on ABC. The DC Defenders will attempt to defend their title against the Louisville Kings, who I didn't even know existed.
I didn't either.
Right now.
The DC Defenders, I heard. I never heard.
Defenders have been around since the XFL. I believe the Louisville Kings, that is a new team this year. So that is they got a couple new cities this year. So congratulations to the Louisville Kings.
There you go. We'll see if they can do it. Johnny Mack, where do we stand here on in Eagle Land as you end minicamp? I just kind of want to run over how much we've gotten through of this offseason, and now it feels like the next time the team is back together, it will really be not as much the offseason, but the I guess the prequel to the season, or the season will be almost upon us. So they wrap up minicamp, they wrapped up OTAs, they wrapped up all the rest of their spring work. The draft is in the rearview mirror. The AJ Brown trade is in the rearview mirror. A lot of the roster building at this point is done, in time. And now the Eagles prepare for the 2026 season. And we'll kind of recap a little bit of what they've done and where they've gone and how the offseason's gone and what's next for this team. But OTA mini camps ended the last couple of weeks, Johnny Mack, and we'll get some of your final thoughts as they wrap up and go out the door on this Football Friday.
Yeah, I'm a little bit calmer than I think a lot of people, although, it's kind of dependent. I was very worried coming in that they were going to pound the square peg in the round hole. Now after being down there over the past few weeks, pretty consistently talking to players, coaches, I think it's less drastic than that. I think they're trying to just accentuate what they have, which is what I've argued for many months. Take advantage of what you have, and I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to go back to the 2024 formula: strong running game, top tier defense, competent passing game. I think that's the goal. And it's going to look different. Like I said, the branding, the packaging, you're going to be under center instead of the gun. But I think that has more to do with the running game. I got that first inkling in March before the combine. Was that February, actually, before the combine with Nick Sirianni, when he kind of hinted at that. And I think that's the case. I think that's what's going on. And the fact, you're going to have bootlegs, and you're going to have the condensed sets, and you're going to have the bunch formations, which are new. So it's going to look a little bit different, but the goal is, hey, everybody figured out the running game because we're offset in the shotgun, and it limits Saquon from where he can go. You can kind of guess. And under center, you take away that ability to guess. I think it's as simple as that. It's all they're trying to fix.
John, forgive my ignorance here. I'd like to use this question as a teaching moment for me, for the people listening, and for you to help explain. A lot of people hear you say it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but they also hear in the same, off season from other people that they find credible. There's other obviously good reporters that you work with every day that who are talking about, different formations and different, as you just mentioned, bunch formations, different concepts, different blocking schemes, a lot of these different things. And then you say it's going to be a lot of the same. What exactly is going to be the same and what exactly is going to be different? I know we've gone over it to some extent, but I'd like to use this moment to dive a little deeper to kind of give some clarity and context to that conversation.
Well, number one, the blocking scheme is going to be different. So I think, people hear what they want to hear sometimes. So they're going, from wide zone stretch to wide zone stretch versus more of an inside zone power gap scheme. And the reason why is because, Nick said they threw a lot of junk at us, a lot of unscouted junk at us last year to try to take advantage of what they were doing. And obviously, coming off the year they had with Saquon and 2,500 yards, people threw the kitchen sink at that and threw a lot of unscouted looks, and they didn't handle it well. And he believes that this style is more is a better way to approach it to handle that. So if you get unscouted looks, it's a better way to, as he calls it, handle the junk. And the same in the passing game as well, but a little bit different from the standpoint of I think they understand who they are, and the strengths of this team are going to be defense and the running game, especially without AJ Brown. So I think part of that is just looking what you have and building around the strengths, which I think is a good thing. Look, people get caught up in the packaging. They that's why I called it. It's a new packaging. So instead of 2x2, you're going to see more 3x1 bunch sets. It's packaging. But the concepts behind them, the passing which I think everybody's hyper focused on the passing concepts, they're not going to change much. You're going to see some more waggles because that's what you do under play action. You're going to see less RPOs and zone read because you can't do that from under center. So some of that's just built into it.
It does feel like there's a built-in conflict, right? Though, when you change something like that, like, you always hear people say that you want the pass game and the run game to complement each other, and it does feel like if they do change that much in the running game and even the under center stuff and the bootlegs and the bunch formations, are the concepts going to be as similar as they were a year ago? I mean, and when you say concepts, are you meaning we're going to be spamming hitch routes again or whatever the hell they were that everybody was?
Well, they don't have AJ, so I think they'll go down. But again, it's all dependent on personnel. You're going to still see hitch routes to Devontae Smith. I think the first throw of the spring was a hitch route to Devontae Smith because Devontae can win one-on-one. So no, I mean, and that's from Press Taylor and other people. Why do I conflate Press Taylor and Parks Frazier for some reason? It's not a close name other than the P's, but that's what Parks Frazier and other coaches have said. Look, it's going to look the same on film from the because part of it is, I mean, if you want to get really honest, I think people don't understand how limited, the modern game is in general compared to how it used to be. So, you're talking about everybody runs the same 10 to 15 passing concepts.
Right. The bag of tricks, in other words, is smaller today than it once was.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you think. I mean, if you want to look at it, they're probably going to emphasize the tight end more. But and a lot of this is just tied to personnel and losing AJ Brown. As I said, the boot stuff, the waggle stuff. You're going to see more motion at least to start, so people like that. But I mean, as far as the dropbacks and the quick games, you have daggers. You have go routes. You have. I mean, you've seen this.
Right. There's
Big
only so
routes.
many different.
Now the levels, they probably Kyle Shanahan probably handles the levels better than anybody. So, if you're doing it as well as him, you're gonna get 3 receivers at 3 different depths to choose, to make people choose. But you also, the quarterback has to make that read. In theory, you're going to have more pure progression reads than coverage reads, but as Parks also explained, that's all often defense dependent in who they're playing. Like if you're playing a defense that doesn't disguise well, you don't have to go pure progression. You can just coverage read it. And when you have the Vic Fangio style defenses that do disguise well, you probably have to go pure progression, which did not look great in the spring from everybody. That's not picking up. I mean, Tanner McKee was worse than Jalen Hurts. I mean, Tanner would go from 1 to 5 in a millisecond. So that tells me that he's not comfortable and he's not coming off the 2, and then he just defaults to immediately Will Shipley. So they're probably not used to that. So there's gonna be some growing pains with all the quarterbacks there, except Andy. But I don't know how much Andy has left from a talent standpoint at this stage.
Now, I'm curious to see what happens with this quarterback position at quarterback 2 and quarterback 3.
I don't even know if that's true, so I don't want to bring it up. But one of the commenters yesterday said there was a report about Tanner being injured, which makes no sense to me because, why is he, if he's injured, why is he playing in the spring when you protect everybody and they're not limiting his reps at all? So I don't want to use that excuse. He just didn't look good.
The only injury I can remember in his career was the finger. Didn't he have like a finger problem?
Yeah, a little thumb. He missed. That's why they traded for Sam Howell, because they weren't comfortable with.
That's right.
Kyle McCord to be the backup even for a week or two. And Jalen's very durable, so they would have been fine. But they went out and got Sam Howell, which was probably the right thing to do. But yeah, I mean, so I'm more comfortable from that level in the fact that I was very concerned that they were going to say, just do it no matter what. You got to learn it, and I don't think they're doing it. I think they're building. They just think this is the better way to build up back to what they had in 2024, which is going to be even more difficult because. Guys have aged since then. Guys have gotten injured. How much does Saquon have left? How much you don't have AJ? But from just the thematic standpoint, I think the changes are much more about the running game than the passing game.
Well, we'll see ultimately what it ends up looking like when the season rolls around. But obviously, it's been an off season of change, even if it's not as big of a change under the surface as it might look like. It has been on the surface a very big change, obviously. And Sean Mannion, John, how do you think Sean Mannion handled his first spring work? From what you were able to see, you only heard from him, I think, maybe once, right? Did you hear from him?
Yeah, just once. But everybody speaks tremendously about him. Very smart guy. I still think there's going to be growing pains, obviously, and you just went through them. I mean, you got Vic Fangio on one side and Sean Mannion on the other, and you got chemistry on one side and no chemistry on the other, and it looked like that, which is why I'm not overly concerned. I think, playing against Vic's defense day after day after day, with this kind of talent on that defense, it's only going to make you better because you're not going to see too many defenses like that when you have to play. So I'm not as concerned with that, but it wasn't great. I mean, but everybody we talked to spoke very highly. Now, there's a honeymoon period. Nobody's going to go out and say the guy hasn't coached a game and say, "Oh, he stinks." I mean, if you would have went back to Sean Desai, you would have heard the same types of things. In fact, you did. So, this is a wait and see thing because, and I said that with Caden yesterday. We turned the page far too quickly on that. I mean, this guy's got no experience as a coach. None.
Yeah, that's tough.
And this is a tough job. In Philadelphia, offensive coordinator. Not saying he can't do it because I do think there are unique young minds that tend to be good. You look at Ben Johnson, most notably recently. But I mean, you're going to have some growing pains. I don't see any way around that. I don't.
And do you think the organization is understanding of that because they have not been a particularly patient organization? Sometimes that's benefited them greatly. Sometimes that can, put a strain on the team. Do you think they're understanding of that approach this year, John, that patience will be required and a necessary part of the process?
Well, if they're not, that's on them. I mean,
you would agree that they haven't really been, right?
They have to. No, they haven't. But, this is the first time you can say, I mean, they've had first-time coordinators, but, Brian Johnson had significant experience as a position coach. Kevin Patullo had 15 basically years. I mean, there was experience. There's none here. So this is the first time they've gone this route. And it was interesting if you go back to the search. I mean, obviously they wanted Mike McDaniel. Obviously they wanted Brian Daboll. So they had set out with the idea because of what went on last year. We need somebody with experience and a proven track record of building up. That's what they set out to do. I think people forget that. And then for whatever reason, Mike didn't want to come here. It's just more weather related than anything else, I think, with Mike. And Brian is very close, I guess, with Robert Saleh. They grew close, and I think he likes Cam Ward, I heard. I don't know if that would have been a great hire anyway, but that they were looking for a proven commodity who's already done it. And they weren't able to get that, and they pivoted and they started interviewing a bunch of people. And Nick said eventually Sean revealed himself as being the best candidate. Used that term, revealed. And I believe it because, at that point it came down to sort of the B candidates, for lack of a better term. But I will say they interviewed, I think, 17 guys. And 16 of them have more experience than Sean Mannion coaching. So it's a risk.
It's an interesting decision. John, have you been able to uncover whether the lack of interest from the more experienced guys you just mentioned, was that two-sided? Was it one-sided from the Eagles side? Was it one-sided from their side? Were you able to confirm
the interest was there from the Eagles side?
So it was. So were you able to confirm, though, like they didn't really want to coach the Eagles, or they just thought the other opportunities were better, or what?
Well, no, they just thought the other opportunities were better. No, it's not like they didn't want to come. It's not they ruled out the Eagles because they're the Eagles, or a lot of people want to boil it down to Jalen Hurts. No, in the case of Mike, like I said, I think it's just his wife is from California. He's been in Miami. He likes nice weather. I think it's as
Yeah, I
simple as
think I
that.
think people discount those factors, John. Like people want to live certain places,
Exactly.
people want to
Yeah.
build their families and things of that nature. I think
Yeah.
that's a big part of it.
Oh, it's a huge part.
Yeah,
And
massive.
I think it's as simple as that with Mike. With Brian, it's a little bit more complicated because he went to a bad team, but and I don't believe in the quarterback, but that doesn't mean he doesn't believe in the quarterback.
Well, he needs to be self-serving because if he doesn't, his career could be over as a coach, So he's probably
Yeah.
trying to rehabilitate that a little bit.
And if you go from what they win last year, Tennessee 3, I don't even know. I have to look, but you go to 7-8 wins, you look like a genius. There is immense pressure here to succeed right away. And even at that stage, guys like Brian and Mike are savvy enough that they know that AJ wasn't going to be here. So you're already dealing with that that aspect that coming in. And what all the other stuff, nobody knew where Landon was at the time, and Cam's injuries and Lane, a lot of uncertainty. But I think from Brian, I don't know, but my guess would be it's easier to look good in Tennessee than it is here because the expectations here are unrealistic.
Right.
And the expectations there are,
non-existent.
Oh my God, we can move the football.
Yeah, right. Right.
I mean, I don't know if it's that deep and he goes that deep, or from what I heard, he just likes Cam Ward, but maybe I'm missing something on Cam Ward.
Well, I think you are right, certainly, about the expectations, John. It's something that you've talked about for really a few years here, this roster and the players here, and it creates an environment. I think even A.J. Brown mentioned that in his parting interview with Maria Taylor. Basically, just our expectations became insurmountable, and we couldn't live up to our own expectations, and it ate us away. So, that's definitely a big part of it, but they got to overcome, and obviously they got Sean Mannion now this year. They have a new version of this Eagles offense, and it's going to be exciting to see, John, how successful they can be. But you are of the belief it's still run game, run game, run game. If that's successful, everything else will fall into place.
Yep. And defense, I think they're trying to find the 2024 formula. And the defense is going to be good. It's just a matter of how good. And I think if I came in as the coach of this team, that's what I do. I build around the running game and the defense. And I think that's what they're going to do. I wrote on SI yesterday talking about the spring. I don't know if it's up yet. Jeff's weird about staggering stories, but if you consider the spring a trailer for the movie, this ain't going to be a blockbuster, is what I wrote. This ain't, but that doesn't mean you can't get critically acclaimed. But this ain't going to be the explosion action movie making $1 billion. It's not the greatest show on turf. It's not, the potential is not there for that. But that's not the end of the world.
You think the change in the running game is enough to kickstart that running game to the level they're going to need it to kickstart it to?
Well, I have, so much depends on the health of Landon and Cam. They look good. They're happier. Like I said, that's a big thing. That's my most optimistic offensive thing coming out of OTAs and minicamp. Like last year, they were miserable because they were in constant pain. And now they're joking around and smiling. Probably saw Cam Jurgens the other day. Like he was sullen last year. And it wasn't because he was being a dick. It was because he just didn't feel good. And now they're feeling better. So that's positive, because if you line up Jordan Mailata from left to right, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, Lane Johnson, and they're out there, say 15 of 17 games, healthy-ish in the case of Landon. Jordan Mailata's had his he's creating his own foundation, and he had like a concert down in South Philadelphia yesterday, and Landon was there. They're very close, obviously. They were in each other's weddings. Big wedding talk. He had a big sleeve on his right leg, and he's not even doing anything. So I do think with Landon, it's obviously an indication by the contract being knocked down a year. He's got degenerative things going on. So he's never going to be 100%. And Cam kind of said nobody is, but as close as you can get to that level, if you have those 5 guys, I think everything's going to be fine. But, if it turns into Fred, and nothing against Fred, but Michael Jordan, now that he's here, and Drew Kendall, then it could get ugly.
So what will look the most different when it comes to the run game, John? Just to lay it out for people here as we wrap up kind of the mini camp spring work that the Eagles have done.
Well, they want to stretch the field. You want to and cut it back. So I mean, I don't think it'll be that noticeable for the casual fan,
other than a lot of under center, right?
Yeah. But no, the blocking, I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. But they're going to run, how the Rams run, how the 49ers run, how,
right.
Really it was Mike Shanahan who came up with, if you think about one of the best and why everybody started copying it was because of the Broncos with Terrell Davis. I mean, that's where it started. And actually, the joke was no matter who the Broncos had, they were going to run for 1,000 yards, even after there was a run of just sort of pedestrian guys. And then everybody started to copy it. And it's still going today. So, I don't think it's going to be something that people notice, but it's just basically more stretch and outside zone versus inside zone, power, pin and pull, gap, 2 gap stuff. But you're still going to do that stuff,
right?
In
theory, though, when you say stretch runs, like the goal of that is technically to what? Spread the defense horizontally so you can create those lanes back to the middle of the field.
Yeah, and just cut it back, and it gives you. The bigger thing is it gives the running back the freedom to do a bunch of different things.
Right.
Whereas if you're offset, you pretty much aren't cutting all the way back to the other side of the field. And everybody knows that.
You don't have enough momentum either behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, if you do it and you try to do it, it's going to be one of those, what the F is he doing? Because you're circling back and you're going to lose 5 yards.
Yeah, NFL's too quick.
So that's basically, it gives the running back more freedom to use the entire field. Now, obviously, if you're running straight left, you're probably not going to go all the way back to the right side. But hey, you could go back ABC gap. You can cut it back to the other side. And
see, this is where I'm struggling, John, with the passing game. Because, like, to me, when we say that makes a ton of sense in the running game. And I'm not saying the running game is, solely going to be successful, whether the passing game is or not. But, like, the complement to that, and I don't know, I'm not the football expert, so I'm just speaking from the top here. Feels like when you spread that defense horizontally and you force them to respect that, then the best way to beat them through the air is by throwing the ball over the middle of the field where the holes are created. You know, you get linebackers to bite down or safeties to bite down on a play action run. You create a seam, you know, an opening on the seam, and you throw the ball on time and accurately to the seam, and you make defenses be honest, and that will open things up further for the run game. You know, consistently. I don't know if that's wrong, but that's what it feels like to me.
Well, I mean, the Eagles just don't have. If you're trying to say use the pass to set up the run, the Eagles don't have the pieces in place to do that. You can do that. I mean, you know, you've seen some of the higher octane offenses. Yeah. I mean, usually it's the other way around. I mean, the quarterback's best friend is a running game, a strong running game, because,
Right.
you know, play action draws in linebackers, as you said, and you know, in theory, you have better lanes to throw. And you know, you often, when you take a false step as a defender and you think it's run versus pass, all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball if you're throwing the football. So, but it can work the other way around, but they just don't have the horses to do it. They just don't.
So could it get clogged up though, John? Like, you know, and I'll just use the 49ers as an example. I know it's obviously the Eagles are a different team with different players, so I don't want to get too caught up in the names. But in theory, Christian McCaffrey's running to the outside. He cuts a big run. All right, defense is like, shit, we got to take away Christian McCaffrey. Then you throw a play action. You know, you get defenses to bite on Christian McCaffrey, and then boom, right up the seam they throw. And now the defenses are like, shit, now we have to pay attention to that. It forces both things to continue to work. If the Eagles don't throw the ball to the middle of the field, wouldn't, in theory, it become easier to take away the wide zone runs, even if you block effectively?
Well, if you're ignoring any part of the field, it's easier, but and that's definitely been an issue. I mean, as far as play action, like the Eagles, you know, I just brought up one of them, Denver, Terrell Davis, Denver. I always talk about Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys. You can add Eagles 2024 into that category as well. Everybody in the building knew what they were going to do, and nobody could stop it. Like, that's the part that I think people don't pay enough attention to. It's like, you know, yesterday I talked about Luke Kuechly on the show. I mean, he knew every play that was coming. They didn't win every game because, all right, Luke knows what's going on. Well, he's got to impart that to everybody else, and they got to be on the same page. And then guess what? If you got Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens healthy and they're on a duo block and you know what they're doing, okay, good luck. Enjoy the ride. You knew it was coming, but they're going to blow you off the ball.
Right.
So, you know, that, and, you know, with the idea of, I should use it myself. And with the idea of play action, what people are talking about is traditional play action, which is, you know, the quarterback taking the snap from under center, turning his back to the defense, faking the handoff, you know, the great ball skills of Aaron Rodgers, that type of thing. Or Brett Favre, Green Bay, you know, you often fool the defenders just by the manipulation of the ball handling and hiding the football on your hip. You know, the great ones can do that. And that's what they're generally talking about. But, you know, our RPOs by nature are play action. You know, the Eagles have had play. It's just a different type of play action.
Right. That makes sense.
Zone reads as well. So, you know, when you hear somebody say football is football, like Saquon, you know, DeMonte says it all the time. There's a limit in, you know, it's just a different style. And it's almost like everybody's used to this, so we got to do something else, you know, because everybody's used to, this is the way the Philadelphia Eagles do it, and they kind of caught up. Now, I can make an argument that did they catch up, or was it just that the offensive line wasn't healthy? So I can make that argument, but that's their
Felt
belief
like
that
a little bit of both to me, but I digress.
their belief is that people caught up, and so they're just changing the branding, which is generally what you do. But I don't think, your goal is, and this has been my thing from day one, your goal is to make Jalen Hurts do things that are uncomfortable. Like, he's very good throwing the ball outside the number. He's very comfortable with it. So why are you going to take that away from him? Well, the answer is I don't think they are. They're just trying to put him in better situations to take advantage of that kind of stuff. And there'll be a little bit more.
How important, John, to you is like the sequencing part and marrying the run and the pass? Even if it's not, I agree with you, set up the, run the ball.
Well, the funny part about that is because this is the whole goal of this offense is to make it's very similar to Vic on defense, make everything look the same. So you could have an outside zone stretch run call, but it will look exactly the same as one of your passing plays. And very similar to Vic when he goes in the shell and the quarterback can't play coverage because he can't read the coverage because they don't spin off into the coverage until post snap. So that's the similarity. Everything is designed to look the same. The intent is, and that's what they're trying to do. Now, ironically, again, if you go back to 24, or even if you want to go back to 2022, that wasn't the case, and they were still successful. So, but yeah, that's one of the goals, is to make everything look the same. And that, to be honest, will probably help you if you're a mediocre team. But I'd still rather be the great team, because the great team is going to beat your ass no matter what. Like, they ran the same stuff in 2024. Same simplified stuff.
Yep. Nobody could stop it.
Nobody could stop it. So, if you ask me, if you have an 8-win team, probably going to be a little bit better doing this because you're disguising things better. But if you have the top tier talent, you just play up to the top tier talent. And if they're comfortable doing it the other way, you play the other way. And that's what we're going to see with this team. But the issue, and I think that finally is tilted. I've been talking on this show for a very long time, and I think it's finally tilted, and people realize the Eagles are way more talented on defense than they are on offense right now. Way more talented on defense, just pure talent.
Yeah, you were ahead of that one, John. Now it looks obvious.
And it's really only one guy, but it's declining. Guys getting older as well, injuries in the case of, they still have the big names, but they're not performing at the level they once were. And hopefully a bunch of them can have bounce back seasons.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, I was going to switch over to the defense. I want to talk a little bit about that new signing, but while we're on this, I just want to stay here. We'll talk about a slightly different version of this conversation when it comes to the offense. I want to thank and welcome everybody for being here on this Football Friday. Another week wrapped up. All right. After this show today, minicamp in the rearview mirror, and it's summer break, everybody. I'm sure if you guys have young kids out there, some of our listeners, I know June is a big month for that. Obviously, the kids getting out of school. So I hope everybody has a good weekend and handles all of that stuff as best they can. Good luck to everybody with all that. John, in this new offense, obviously they are now without A.J. Brown. What's the best way to accentuate the talents of Devontae Smith with him being the wide receiver number one?
Well, I mean, that's one where I constantly say, if you're going to line up all 90 names on the offseason roster, that's going to be very near the bottom of my concerns. I don't think you can screw up Devontae Smith. So I don't know. For the people that say, well, maybe he can be Jackson Smith and Jigba and have that kind of explosion, I don't think it's coming, but I don't think it has anything to do with DeMonte. I just don't. You need to have a high volume passer. I don't think they're going to be that. Um, but he's going to get more targets, so the numbers will go up, and he's going to be good. He's going to be damn good. So I think I wouldn't be concerned about him at all. The concern should be about Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, because those are the guys that have to step up and really play at a higher level than, well, in the case of a rookie, he hasn't done it in the pros. In the case of Wicks, 39 catches being his high watermark in Green Bay, hasn't done it in the NFL yet. So, there's a lot of uncertainty with those guys. With DeMonte, I mean, yeah, he's going to be the guy, and I don't have any doubts that he can be the guy.
And what ways do you think his skill set would bode best in what this new offense is going to look like, especially in the passing game? I mean, he's obviously a different type of player than AJ, so with him being the one, how does that shift the primary focus where AJ, you can run a lot of, hitches and sluggos and things like that. Does that change? Do you expect more crossers and things that accentuate his skill set? Maybe what are the things that you think accentuate that skill set more so than a guy like AJ, because they are different players?
Well, the only deep balls they've thrown are in spring were to Devontae. So I think people forget. It maybe his most famous play is the dagger in the Super Bowl, and that's a deep vertical clear out shot. Could be down the seam in the case of that, or could be a go route. So he's he high points the football tremendously.
Yeah.
So he's already been good at that. So he's good at everything. He's a great route runner. He's got great hands. He high points the football. He can win at all three levels. So, it's more of what you feel comfortable, what the quarterback feels comfortable. He can do anything, literally, as a receiver. So if you look at the 10 or 12 concepts they're going to run, well, can he run a dagger? Yes, you've already seen it. Can he run a shallow cross? Anybody can run a shallow cross. He certainly can. Can he run a post and a wheel, a mesh, a corner?
Yeah, he can do it all. There's no doubt about that. Any concern on the X stuff?
Well, he's not as big. So traditionally it's like play action. He can do it, but he's not as big. So, when people think of X receivers, they think of AJ or Mike Evans or somebody like that,
right.
Big giant receiver. And he's unique enough to do it, but I think he'll play more Z and flex, just because of his body type. But he can do it. He's there. I'll tell you right now, if you say who's the best X on the Eagles, it's Devontae Smith. Who's the best Z on the Eagles? It's Devontae Smith. Who's the best flex on the Eagles? It's Devontae Smith.
Right. They'll use him in all their spots.
And number 2 is not close, by the way. So it becomes, Mekhi was obviously most likely going to start out mainly in the slot, because that's what he did at Southern Cal. So it's mainly about like what do they do well, and Tay, as he's known, Tay Wicks is, he's a bigger guy. So, maybe he looks like more of an X, but he doesn't have great speed. So there's some limitations there. It's more of like what can they do well, and then Devontae can
Right.
work around that.
Have you seen enough from Wicks to be able to kind of tell which ways you think might be best for him to be implemented in this offense?
Well, he's got to catch the football more consistently. Number one, that was a knock in Green Bay, and it showed up in OTAs and minicamp. But he's a good route runner, very good route runner. That's how he gets separation, because he's not the fastest guy in the world, quickest guy in the world. But he's very technically sound. So he can do it, but he's more of a possession guy as far as versus being a big play guy. So, and then maybe have Hollywood Brown to stretch the field, and you start going down the list. Because, I was impressed by Elijah Moore. When they signed him, I thought, no, he's just going to be a camp body. And, they'll see. He was a second-round pick, so he's got some talent, obviously, but never really developed. And you could see the talent. And, I'm also intrigued by him because if you think about the Shanahan-McVay offense, you have a lot of, jet motion, orbit motion, whatever the teams like to use specifically. And Deebo Samuel will be the most recent example of a guy who can do a lot of things with manufactured touches when he was younger in San Francisco. He could be the manufactured touch guy if they want that. He's still got to prove himself, but he's got some athleticism. So I kind of dismissed him, but he might push for a roster spot as well.
That'll be interesting to see. Johnny Mac, same question for you on Mekhi Lemon. How do you? I know you haven't seen much from him because he missed a lot of the spring work, but just based on what you know about the player, the size of the player, some of what you've watched on his college tape, some of what you've learned about him. Obviously, since he was drafted to Philly, you had to write stories on him and things of that nature. You obviously know about the player. How do you get the most out of him this year if you're the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, he's mainly going to be in the slot, like I said. And hopefully you grow from there. You don't want him to get just typecasted to that, but that's where he played in college and where you start him out as. And people have made the comparisons to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he's very physical at the catch point. He can get yards after catch. I don't like those comparisons. You got those comparisons, and you got Nick Sirianni bringing up Keenan Allen for Dontavian Wicks. I'm like, yeah, all right, let's settle down. But that's the style of player he is. And how quickly he can get there. But yeah, that's why I said, Devontae's not going to play as much in the slot because Lyman has to play in the slot, at least early. And Devontae can do anything. So that's why I say it's more about those two, Lemon and Wicks, than it is about Devontae.
Yeah, how effective those guys are will obviously have a big impact on the team. And John, look, I don't want to sound like a doomer, but it just does. It's not a great receiving group right now, and it doesn't feel like it is, at least to me.
It's not. They got one great receiver and a bunch of guys. Yeah, I mean, if you're being honest.
That's where I mean, like a lot of people have this expectation the passing game is going to be better, and it's all about scheme, John. All about scheme. It has nothing to do with, AJ Brown shows up in 22, and you're like, passing game's going to be better. Well, yeah, I agree. You got AJ Brown. Now it's like we got worse. We hired a coach who's never called a play, and we have a proposed new scheme that's supposed to fix this passing game. I don't know. Maybe I am being a little bit of a doomer, but it just doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't.
I think, and I don't blame them. I think they've been sold a bill of goods. That's what they were told, so that's what they believe. And not necessarily, not from the Eagles, but from people who speculate. And I'm in that class. I'm not picking on anybody. And I was concerned about it, but I don't think that's the plan. I think it's more about the running. I think these changes are more about the running game than the passing game.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, I do.
And if you're in third and manageable, the passing game's going to be better. But and again, some of the concepts are going to look very similar on film, just from under center. So, but to the casual fan, that's a big change. Under center versus shotgun or pistol, and motion, bunch 2x2. Like they want this 2 Super Bowls, Zander. And at some point in this city, the shotgun became toxic and 2x2 became toxic, even though they went to the Super Bowl playing the same style. So now under center is the answer, and condensed sets, 3x1, bunch sets, bunch formations, personnel groupings. It's just the nature of the game. It's the pendulum theory. Well, this looks ugly now, so we got to swing to the other thing. And this will look ugly at some point in the future. And you'll probably swing back, but it's all dependent on what you get at the quarterback position. Like, you build around your quarterback. Well, at least everybody should. I question if that's the case in every city. But I was concerned, but I think that's what the Eagles are doing, and I think that's what they should do.
It's going to be interesting to see, Johnny Mac. First hour of the show in the books. I want to thank and welcome everybody in here today. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Prince telling me I'm too negative, John, in the chat. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be real. Everybody's expectations are that the offense is going to be a lot better, and it really is all coming down to a first-year play caller that's never called play in his life and has only really been a coach for 2 years. That's all. I don't want to set unrealistic expectations here about who's gonna help fix this offense. It's more about the veteran players who have played in the NFL longer than Mannion's been a coach 3 times over. So I think that's more important. That's all. Johnny Mac, good stuff. Let's switch over to the defense here on the show. AJ Espineza, I don't know how to say his full name. Actually a pretty good player, John. Obviously, there's some serious injury stuff because he didn't sign for the most money. And then the signing fell through with Cleveland because of the physical. But if you watch some of the tape and you look at some of the numbers, he's been a pretty solid player. I'm not going to oversell it that he's been some elite edge rusher, but he's definitely been a guy that would be a good rotational piece. I don't know if you've been able to uncover any information about more of what's going on with him as a player, but your kind of thoughts on that signing and how much he might impact that edge rotation and that edge rusher room.
Yeah, well, I think he is. He has been a good player, rotational player, good third end or edge defender, and he's been a good player, as you mentioned. 1 year, $5 million deal, which is decent, and that sort of B level of free agency. When you sign that kind of deal, you're going to make the team. But Cleveland backed out of it, and Last year he had a concussion, he had a pec injury, he had a foot injury, and he had a neck issue. Now I'm just guessing, but generally when you fail physicals in the NFL, it's usually and you see neck, it's usually the neck because there's concerns. But that's just a guess. But I mean, if he's healthy, I think he can help, and I think he immediately steps in as the fourth edge rusher ahead of Ebiketie, and certainly ahead of Joe Trine, who hasn't been here, and I still have no idea why, even though I tried to find out. So, I think he can help, but it's all about health. If he's healthy, he can play. He's been the third edge guy in Buffalo, and he's been very successful. And he also brings something the Eagles don't have, and that's size on the edge. He's a big dude.
Right.
And they've always been undersized, it seems like, for years now. And he's like 6'5", 270, somewhere in that range. So he brings a different type of player that Vic can use, and Vic's great at. That's another thing. I mean, Vic's great at utilizing what players can do. So I think he can help if he's healthy, but you have to see if he's healthy, number one. And a little inkling of, what's going on with Nolan Smith in my mind. I don't know in anybody else's mind. Could he be trade bait? Because you got a lot of edge rushers, man. I mean, it's great to have, but you can't keep them all.
No. How many do you think they will keep?
5.
Right now, it feels obvious what the 5 are, right? Right? Grenard, Nolan, Jalix, Epineza, and
Ebiketie.
Yeah.
And, Brandon Graham's going to have to wait for the in-season call if somebody gets hurt. But yeah, they're very deep at that position now. But, maybe he's not healthy. Maybe it's just a shot to see if he is healthy. It doesn't hurt to take a look at him. I think that's the key. If he's healthy, he can play. And he'll be a part of the team. And then if you don't make another move, you're very deep at the position. Now, you still need Grenard to stay healthy because you still need the headliner. And everything else falls into place.
Right. Even a concern on Grenard, I know you like him a lot as a player. He had a major down year statistically last year. So I had
but he really didn't from a
grading standpoint, right? From how he played overall.
He's just a big time player. Big time player. Now he did have shoulder surgery. He's still not back in team drills, but they're being cautious to the point about Tanner McKee. They're cautious with everybody. If anything's going on, he could practice, but they don't want him to. So no, I have no doubt on him as a player. But with everybody, it's injury related is the only thing you're concerned about. But he's going to make a huge difference on this team. Because, as good as Minnesota was on the edges, they didn't have great tackles. Now all of a sudden you put him with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Joma. I mean, I asked him that the other day, and he's already thinking about it. They had Grenard and Van Ginkel, which is phenomenal, but their tackles were just average. That front is going to be really good if Jalen Carter is healthy. I fear for the rest of the league with the Eagles defense.
They're going to be good.
They are. They're going to be really good.
I don't even think how'd the safety look in camp so far? Because everybody, people have talked about that. Like it's this, we've got to address it. It'd be nice to address it, but I feel like it's not as bad as people are making it out to be.
It's not great. I mean, I'll tell you, hey, the front seven is awesome. The cornerbacks are awesome. The safeties, they're below average if you're being
But with
fair.
the great front seven and with a great cornerback
that's
group,
what
you can blend it a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now you're hoping for improvement from Drew Makuba in year 2, and he's healthy. He's back healthy, and he was able to practice the entire spring. So that's a positive, but he's not proven to the level of even being mediocre. Showed some signs. And then you have Marcus Epps, who's going to line up correctly. Michael Carter seemed to take to it, and he was getting some first-team reps at the end there. So maybe he's pushing it and going to make it better. But I mean, if you're being fair, like the defensive tackles are awesome. The edge group is ridiculously deep. The cornerbacks, I can't see anybody having a better trio of cornerbacks. You got an all-pro and an all-pro in waiting and linebacker. But the safeties are a weakness. But good luck getting to it.
Yeah, right. Oh man, this defense really, the potential is through the roof on this defense, John. I'm feeling that people want me to be optimistic. I'll be optimistic on the defense.
That's everybody says the same to me. I'm shitting on the offense. No, they were bad. Part of it is they got to play against that defense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And the next sentence, I tell you how good the defense is, and everybody ignores it. Like, it used to be a defensive town. Defense. Philadelphia's a defensive town.
We won a damn Super Bowl a couple years ago with a great defense.
Nobody even knows it. Oh, Jalen was Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, they're fucking up 27-0. They're not getting past the 50-yard line. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes didn't get past the 50-yard line till the end of the third quarter.
John,
what was it?
What do you think the love affair is with him, Phil? Like that's such a good point. The defense doesn't let them cross midfield for 10 drives, which is
Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Damn near unheard of. And the only thing people care about is that the MVP trophy got given to Jalen, so they can use it as some sort of a justification for the player. Where does that mindset come from? I'm not saying it to take away from Jalen.
No.
It wouldn't be the first thing I would latch onto like white on rice and throw it in people's faces every single time a comment about Jalen Hurts is made. I don't really get it.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre to me. I mean, like I said, for years, this is Buddy Ryan, defense, Reggie White, defense, Seth, Clyde. We love defense. It took them 2 years to figure out the defense was better than the offense. We've been talking about it for 2 years now. And now it's blatantly obvious, but part of it is just people are drawn to skill positions. I mean, they don't even know the strength of the offense when the offense was good was the offensive line. Well, most of them know it, but they want to talk about the skill people. Nobody wants to talk about the offensive line. Well, those guys are great, but the skill people. And they want skill people. They want it, but how excited was everybody when they went Lemon Stowers? 1-2. Instead of the offensive lineman.
Well, based on what you said earlier, I mean, that offensive line is returning all 5 guys. I guess in theory, it makes some sense to not stash a guy for a year. I wanted the O-lineman, so I don't know. I'm trying to.
Well, it depends. I mean, I have no problem if they wanted. By all indications I got, they wanted Proctor. That was their guy, and he went early. And they would have taken him. But he didn't even get in their orbit, and they shipped it to the next guy, which is what you should do. And if you like Lemon better than Freeling, take Lemon. It always depends on the player. You know,
Has
the
Stowers
Stowers.
looked all right in camp at all? Anything
Stowers.
positive? Anything? Like, is there a single thing to say
No,
about
I mean,
Stowers?
well, he got hurt at the end. He was not in team drills for the last day. But no, I think he caught one pass, maybe one or two when they were indoors. So no, I think Eli Stowers will be a very good draft choice in 2-3 years. But I think early it's not gonna, if you really want him on the field, you're gonna have to design packages for him.
So you're not seeing a world where there's 2 tight ends on the field this year, and it's Dallas Goedert and Eli Stowers. Is that correct?
Well, not consistently, maybe a play or two. Like I said, you're specifically designing a play for him, but no, not consistently.
Right, like
Somebody's got,
maybe third and long you can do it because you need
yeah.
pass catchers on the field.
And maybe Dallas will bounce back and he can do it, but then you're taking Dallas out the receiving option, and I don't think that's prudent because he's, again, maybe 2 or 3 years Stowers will be better, but he's not better right now.
What impressions did you get from his physical stature? From like
I love that. I love all, it's hard not because he's a big dude that can get bigger. So
and
when
athletically, he still looks,
oh, well, he's an awesome athlete. There's no getting around that. But, the positive is he's got this big frame. So, he's 6'4", 6'5", and he's 240 now. He could easily get up to 250 and keep the same athleticism and get stronger. And everybody says he's got a willingness to block, and he was a quarterback 3 years ago. So he's still learning the position, and the toughest thing for him is the blocking because he wasn't obviously as a quarterback, you're not blocking. So he's got to learn all the technique and fundamentals of that. The athleticism is off the charts for a tight end. So, I think in 2 years when Dallas is gone, he's going to be your starting tight end. But I think it's going to be very difficult because you're going to need Johnny Munt or Cam Latu or EJ Jenkins on the field to block, especially when you're a wide zone team and you're playing 12 and 13 personnel. And they ran quite a bit of 13 personnel. And, lot more Latu and EJ Jenkins than I expected because they can block.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Johnny Mac, what it all looks like this year. We'll get some super chats today. We just got a fresh one from Pumper we will get to whenever Pumper checks in. You can always count on something coming. So we'll get to some of those super chats today. John, a lot of the fan base, Eagles fan base that I debate with them on is Nick Sirianni. They all think Nick Sirianni is like the worst coach in the world.
Come on.
I don't know why. I find myself almost.
What are all? If Nick is that big of a dumbo, how much of a dummies are these other guys?
They think he doesn't do anything. That's what they tell me. Oh, he doesn't do anything. Every time he controls the offense, it sucks. Da, 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 da. I don't really know, John. I'm trying to. I love this is an open forum to the Nick Sirianni haters to explain to me what it is that's so awful about Nick Sirianni. I don't know what it is, John.
I don't understand. Like, I get the part that they don't understand how big the job is, and like nobody cares about like making the practice schedule and scripting practice and making sure you use your time, your allotted time that you have, which is, because preparation is the biggest part of it. in the teaching, and he's in charge of the whole thing. They were on. So the first day of minicamp, what day? Tuesday. They had a really bad. They had a really bad offensive day, and he kept them on the field longer. It's not like Sean Mannion's going, "Oh, hey, let's get some more reps." No, that's the head coach. That's just a little thing. He's in charge. He does everything. And I've always been, like I say, people think I like Nick, and I do like him personally, but like I'm defending Nick. First of all, I don't think he needs defending. Look at his freaking resume. But number two, it's like you guys don't understand how big the job is. I've been advocating for CEO coaches for everywhere in this league long before I ever knew the name Nick Sirianni. I didn't even know who the fuck he was when I was talking about CEO coaches. He was coaching quality control in Kansas City. It's too big of a job. You see, as good as Kyle Shanahan is, and I think Kyle Shanahan is the Vic Fangio of offense in this league. How many mistakes does he make in game management? How many over the years? Because he's bogged down. And, I know somebody who worked in San Francisco for many years and told me the story that Kyle said, because he had all these coaches. Think about all the coaches, because everybody wants Shanahan and McVay. Think about all the coaches that graduated, the Mike McDaniels of the world, people like that, the LaFleur's, who coached under Kyle Shanahan. None of them called plays because Kyle told them, when you can do it better than me, you can do it. And nobody can do it better than him, which I agree with.
I like Kyle Shanahan. Another thing,
but
at me for.
There's nothing not to love. He is an offensive genius, from that standpoint. But there's a lot not to love as a head coach, which is a different job. And you can pick on things that he hasn't done that well. It's a way bigger job. But he doesn't call plays. What does he do? What the fuck, man? Everything. To the point
here's my boy Prince. All right. He's going to tell us what about Nick he doesn't like. He says this: explain the collapse and why it's not a problem when you're in charge. He gave up in 21, made poor decisions in 23 and 25. Kevin and Nick, come on.
Well, Abe, I would say it's hard to win in the NFL. I mean, how spoiled are you guys? What? Give me a coach like Andy Reid, top 5 coach of all time. What? How many games did he win last year?
I don't know, 6 or 7, right? Was it that low?
Yeah, they were under 500. Now Patrick got hurt, but they weren't playing well with Patrick. By the way, did you see his contract?
Yeah, I did, John. They were 6-11 last year.
Yeah. And, he missed, and rightfully so. But the point is, everybody, if you're around long enough, and obviously Andy's been around long enough, and he's unbelievable, but he's also got a 6-win season and an 8-win season and a 4-win season his last year here and a 6-win season last year. Now, everything else has been phenomenal. So what did he become a bad coach that year? He gave up in 2021. I don't even know what that refers to, but I mean, they weren't even supposed to make the fucking playoffs. I assume that means giving up play calling, which I think it's ironic when you say, hey, look, I'm making some game management mistakes and I need to handle the entire team better. So I should give play calling off to the guy I'm close to and who's going to do exactly what I want instead of being the egomaniac. saying, I'm going to call plays because everybody because some fucking clown is going to say, what do you do? I think that's a positive. And then poor decisions in 23 and 25. Again, you're all Eagles fans. Give me a 5-year stretch where you got 5 consecutive playoff appearances, 2 Super Bowls, and a Lombardi trophy. Give me that stretch. They won 11 games last year in the NFL without Landon Dickerson healthy, without Cam Jurgens healthy.
Lane Johnson missed half the year.
Half the year. What the F? Like, what do you want? Like, who do you want? I mean, Andy's, like I said, Andy's, top 5 all time. Bill Belichick has had bad seasons. Sean McVay has had bad seasons. I don't get it. I don't get it. The grass isn't always greener. Sean McVay went 5-12 in 2022. He won 10-7 in 2023 and 2024. 10-7 is not acceptable in Philadelphia. That's a 3-year span.
And you're not pointing that out to criticize those coaches. You're just pointing it out.
They're great coaches.
Right.
Andy's one of the best of all time. Like, it doesn't matter what name you give, unless, they've been coaching for 3-4 years and they came in and did a good job. Matt LaFleur is in that category as well, who got handed, Aaron Rodgers, who was still playing at an MVP level. And Zander Krause could have went 13-3.
Yeah, that's what people make it seem like.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Here's a fair question then. How much do you think Nick's career in Philly as a head coach has been propped up or aided by Howie Roseman and him continuously putting, one of the better rosters in football on the field?
Tremendously. But when everybody thought Nick was sending a message to AJ, even though he says it one every 3 press conferences,
like the same script that he uses
about the ultimate team game. It's the ultimate team game. There's not, and that's why people get upset about Jalen. Well, he wouldn't win if he didn't have a great. No quarterback wins with a shitty supporting staff. So no coach is going to win with a shitty GM. So if you have a good GM, yeah, it helps you a lot. I'll tell you who loves Nick Sirianni more than anybody else in that building, Howie Roseman.
I can tell those two like each other.
Like if Nick gets fired, it ain't going to be Howie firing him.
Is this a pumper take you agree with? Sirianni is the best coach in Eagles history?
No, because Andy was here. I mean, I think everything they do is based on Andy Reid as an organization. No, he didn't win, so he won't be regarded as that. But I mean, he is the biggest impact on this organization to this day. It's here from 1999 to 2012. To this day, it's now been 14 years, and he's the biggest. Everything they do, you can trace back to Andy Reid. From both sides. Howie still calls them for advice. So I still put Andy at number 1. But for different, people are, well, he didn't win a Super Bowl. I don't give a shit. It's a bigger job than that. And he set this organization on the right path to where it is self-sustaining now. They
Yeah.
made one little mistake with Chip Kelly, and they went right back.
Yeah.
And they said, we
And
fucked that up.
it's good context there. Johnny Mac taking it to the Nick Sirianni haters this morning on a Football Friday. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll take some super chats from the great people of JAKIB Nation. Here's JD3. He says this, Johnny Mac, you're the GOAT. Keep defending Sirianni and fighting the good fight. Look at that. Not everybody's a Nick hater.
Well, hey, I'll criticize Nick when it's warranted. He's not perfect, but I mean, for the people who don't think he's a good coach, that's insanity to me. I don't know what to tell you.
Where do you think the most obvious areas for criticism are for Nick and his Eagles tenure?
Well, you know, it's kind of tough. I mean, for me, if I'm Nick, I do have the opportunity to keep continuity because Jalen Hurts wants more continuity. Like
Yeah.
I would fight for that, but if you fight for that, you're probably going to lose your job. So,
Yeah, right.
you know, it's kind of, I mean, that would be my biggest thing. Like Sean Mannion's got to grow. I know everybody hates Kevin. Kevin had to grow. So whatever. Sean Mannion's going to have to grow. Are you going to be shitting on him after the season? Probably. Are you going to fire him? Maybe. But I don't think they should. So, you know, I would try to, but maybe it's not possible. Because I do think, and the modern game, I mean, look at the offensive coordinators around the league. You're not going to be able to keep them. And if you lose them because you're successful, like Kellen and Shane, it's a lot, you know, more acceptable to people. And they built up, and they have Josh Grizzard in case, you know, they win the Super Bowl this year, and Jared Johnson as well. So maybe they've done a better job building up the heir apparents, but I would strive for more consistency. Like, you know, Jalen, I don't know if it was passive. I still think it was passive aggressive, but, you know, when he's working out with Scott Loeffler, you know, why can't he have Scott Loeffler as the quarterback's coach? He's under contract.
He liked him, clearly.
Well, he might have been trying to be dickish, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you think he would go and spend time in the offseason when
Yeah,
you don't have any obligations to be anywhere or be with anybody? You're going to choose of all the thousands of coaches in the world?
Well, I'm saying, was he sending a message to the organization if he thinks the organization was sending a message to him?
Maybe. I guess that's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess that's
Which I guess is possible. But if he does like him, why can't he have him? Would be my question.
My big criticism of Nick, John, would be this. I don't like that sometimes I feel like he's not the adult in the room. Like with Jalen.
Yeah, that's fair. He gets too emotional.
Yeah, sometimes that bothers me. Not to the point where I want to make him emotional.
Well, he shouldn't be arguing with fans. He shouldn't be
like stuff like that. Like I just, you know, you're the head coach of a team in the National Football League. You know, leave that shit aside. Focus on. So that part has bothered me about him. Jalen's.
Well, I've criticized him.
Guy.
I've criticized him when he does that stuff. Like when he was in Kansas City, I remember, you know, he's celebrating like he's a Knicks fan winning a finals game. I'm like, tone it down, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but I don't ultimately. I don't think that affected his job performance that much. It's just, I think you should, you know, there's no need to poke the bear, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, Gary says, "Nah, it's Philly. He embodies the shit talk. I don't mind the shit talking, like at like persona, but Gary, there is moments where I believe you got to be the head coach. You know, you got to be the head coach. You got to put your emotions to the side, and you got to be the head coach of the team. But that's just my 2 cents. Here's Jimbo Zander, do you think Nick Sirianni enjoys being the head coach of the Birds? Good question for John here. He's got his play calling duties stripped. Hurts is his quarterback. I don't think he hates that. Takes all the blame and gets no credit for the team's results on the field.
Well, number one, he didn't have his play calling duties stripped. That is not true. I mean, that's every NFL coach. You take all the blame and you get very little of the credit. Well, at least, I mean, that's not true. You get a lot of credit when you win. And that's the rare thing with Nick Sirianni, because he hasn't gotten the credit for winning. Usually the adage with quarterbacks and coaches is they get more credit when you win and more blame than they should when you lose, which is true. He hasn't gotten the credit, which is kind of weird. So that part, maybe. He's certainly aged. It's like being the president, the head coach of the Eagles. A lot more gray hair, a lot of expectations. But yeah, I think he enjoys it overall. I don't think he doesn't want to be a head coach. And as far as players, any player, he is. I can't tell you how many times over the years he's talked about A.J. Brown as either the best player he's ever coached or one of the best players, or he mentions it with Lane as well. I mean, part of it is you're going to move on. If you're a successful coach, you're moving on from everybody at some point. So you're used to that. And it'll be the same thing will be with Jalen Hurts, but that's just the nature of the industry. So overall, yeah, I think he enjoys it. But there's certain parts. Tough town, man. Tough town.
It is a tough town. All right, good stuff. We got some more super chats we will get to now. Thank you, JD3, for your super on Nick. I think we've had a fun conversation.
Hey, Zander, real quick.
What's that?
I'm going to pop off for 2 minutes because the landscapers are here and Tank is going to go nuts because I left the.
Go ahead, handle Tank, John. You're good. All right, dude. All right, John will be back in just a second. We'll read the super chats when John returns. I will continue to battle the great people of JAKIB Nation on Nick Sirianni. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Nick Sirianni is, Vince Lombardi, but I certainly don't think he's a stiff. I don't think he's a stiff. Like a guy like Rasputin. I mean, you criticize Nick. At least I think you do. You have to clarify. And then you also criticize Jalen without ever acknowledging that Nick Sirianni is winning at an extremely high clip, despite the inefficiencies that you continue to talk about with the quarterback. Meanwhile, all these other coaches have the elite quarterbacks. It's like, I think Nick deserves a little more credit than he's given in Philadelphia. Including you, Flex. I see you talking about Nick Sirianni like he can't carry a cup of water. Freaking Flex. Jimbo, I think me and you are on the same page, Jimbo. Freaking Jimbo 215 is a legend. Pumper Damas says Zander is the same win percent. Yes, he does. That's because Nick, who called him this? Nick Winiani? Who dubbed that nickname? Somebody in the chat. Nick Winiani? I think I saw my boy Gary call him Nick Sabiani. That one is the best. Nick Sabiani. Z, Pump claiming Nick is the Eagles' best coach ever is ludicrous. Well, Chucky's got quite a bit of success, my friend. I'm more with John. I do think it's Andy, but Nick's been very successful. Nick Madden, that's a good one. Sirianni's the prototypical coach for how the organization is structured. That's fair. Again, Macapoop was Ben McAdoo. That's right. Look, here's Rich Nutt versus a group of prominent coaches: Tomlin, Andy, Sean, Peyton, McDermott, Shanahan, LaFleur, O'Connell, Dan Campbell. Nick Sirianni is 13-3. Come on, Prince. All right, let's bring Johnny Mac back. He's with us. We're going to continue on our super chats. I've just been debating with the people since you left on Nick Sirianni, John. So
I imagine there's a lot of heat there. A lot of heat.
I don't know why they hate Nick so much. All right, Braswell, look at this. Member for 40 months. Tyler, thank you, dude. Almost 4 years of membership. Thank you, my friend. He says this. Good week of shows. J-Mac has to find a new strategy asking questions in the press conferences. They caught on to his tactics. Is that right, John? Do you feel
which are you referring to? I don't know. Jalen? No, Jalen just wasn't going to talk about it if you're talking about that one. I asked him about Leffler. But I felt the question had to be asked. I don't recall anything else recently where somebody didn't give a half decent answer. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, but sometimes you got to ask questions that people don't want to answer and just to get them on the record. But I was hoping for more of an answer, but it is what it is. But Jalen will be Jalen. He won't take it personally. I don't have any worries about that. Other than he just didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I thought it was good you asked it. You had some stones in there, John, to ask a good question. Here's Pumper. What up, Pump? Y'all want to say Nick is on borrowed time. B. Pumper can argue Jalen Hurts is a lame duck QB. Howie set this up perfectly for when Hurts inevitably falters. Wow.
Well, Howie's always thinking about the future. That part's true. He's not wishing it, but he's got to be the guy that thinks about the rainy day. I explain it all the time. He's got to build up contingencies in case it doesn't work. And he's done that. And he's very good at it. That might be his biggest strength. To be honest, I talk about it all the time. Yeah, I was thinking about it with AJ when he left. It's, I think a lot of people forget they tried to trade for Calvin Ridley and thought the deal was done that year. And then they tried to get Allen Robinson and didn't get him. And then they shipped it to AJ Brown on draft night. And the contingency worked out pretty well until the shelf life went. So many times that's the example. Doug Peterson, he wasn't their first choice, people. I hate to break it to you. Nick Sirianni wasn't their first choice.
Yeah, somebody just said it in the chat. They almost hired Ben McAdoo, didn't they?
Yeah. They wanted Adam Gase first.
Adam Gase and Ben McAdoo. Oh my
Adam asked for the world, so it didn't go anywhere. Ben McAdoo, the true story, he was on his way to Philadelphia to accept the job, and the Giants convinced him to turn back on the turnpike. They had a welcome basket and everything set up for Ben McAdoo.
Well, thank gosh that didn't work out. Pump, thanks for the super chat. Here's Flexin' and Steppin'. What's up, Flex? The only cup of water Nick is holding is Howie's. He doesn't like Nick, clearly.
Yeah. Well, the Howie stuff it's funny because Howie's gone from maybe the most unpopular person in town to being now people think he doesn't do anything wrong. So things can change quickly, but I'll tell you, like I said, the biggest Nick Sirianni fan there is Howie Roseman. So if you're a big Howie Roseman guy, maybe consider that piece of information.
Here is Silent Anarchy. What's up, brother? Thanks for being here. Some of these people weren't fans when we had Chip Dip Kelly or Sam Bradford, and it shows. Minimum 11 wins almost every year. Damn good coaching, Nick.
Yeah, it ain't easy to win 11 games in the NFL. Yeah. I don't know if people realize that. And that's a bad season now for the Eagles. It's not going to sustain, obviously. It's impossible long term. But, yeah, I mean, by the way, nothing wrong with Sam Bradford, though. Sam taking strays. Bunch of injuries. Tremendous arm talent. I'll tell you that. That dude.
He did have sick arm talent. Yep.
That dude could throw the football. But yeah, he had a bunch of injuries. He was fine. He's just limited at that stage. But yeah, there's weird strays. I don't know why Sam gets all those strays.
Here's block knowledge. Sirianni and Hurts are tied at the hip on praise and criticism.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's not rare. That part of it's not. That's every NFL city. It's coach and quarterback. Coach and quarterback.
Yep. Here is keep rolling in the super chats. Big thanks to everybody for the super chats today. Anybody who sends them, we will get to them. Here's Pump Radamus again. What's up, Pump? Nick can never win with the Jalenites. He's a CEO coach, but he gets blamed for all of Hurts' failures. It's not like he has his hands up Jalen's arse SMH.
Well, personnel is bigger than coaching. I don't know how many times I can say that. And Chris Cooper's the latest, probably the 47th coach, which just tells you I'm old. That has told me over the years, show me a good coach and I'll show you a bunch of good players.
Same applies to Vic Fangio, right? Who people think
Vic said
wrong,
but Chris is just the most recent to say it.
Yeah, but it's just like again,
it's common sense.
People take that away from Nick, but they conveniently leave it out when Vic Fangio hasn't always had great defenses in his career, but he's obviously a great coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's be consistent, people. Holy shnikes. Let's go to Pump again. FOH with all the small talk. Talk about how Hurts and the offense have been putrid so far. Shit is concerning, man. MF and ints everywhere. Chargers game deja vu.
I talked about it. The offense did not look good. Now, we only saw 4 practices. And it's the spring, so I wouldn't be too concerned. But, yeah, it didn't look good. Looked really bad with no Devontae Smith out there. Looked really bad. You talk about, talk about being spoiled. Having AJ and Devontae for the last 4 years. It's like having Lane and Jordan. Same thing at the wide receiver position. Now you're like, he takes a personal day and you're rolling out there with Tay Wicks as your number 1 receiver and Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore. Now Mekhi was out as well. You see how thin it is. And I forget it. Elliott's 6 of 14 or something on, and the vast majority is 7-on-7, some team drills, but 6 of 14. The ball was not being completed. And that's I'm not picking on Jalen. That Tanner looked worse. Andy looked worse. Cole looked worse. Like, it's been everybody. To make Pumper happy, for 4 practices and T-shirts, basically, helmets and T-shirts, it's looked bad. But who cares? Spring.
Well, it still matters a little bit, but I don't want to.
June 12th. I do not believe they're playing today, but I have to check the schedule.
Yeah, but the thing with the offense is, I said this the other day. You're right. It doesn't matter that much because it's June 12th, but it is continuing the trend of the offense being bad. It's not like they were good and then, they're struggling this offseason. It's not like that.
But there's a lot of context. They are changing. They are doing things they're not used to doing.
That's fair. I'm just saying it's a continuing trend. We're hearing more about the offense stinking after watching them stink. That's where I think the concern is coming from.
Yeah, well, but I mean, there is the context to it, and the defenses look great, and there's context to that as well
Yeah,
because
but
they're
like for
playing an
example, if
offense
you
that's
told me the
struggling.
defense looked pretty shitty right now, I'd be like, yeah, they'll figure it out. They got Vic. They were good last year. They got good. They'll figure it out. It's a little bit of a different scenario. That's all.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, Vic's been coaching for 40 years, and Sean's been coaching for 2.
2 days.
Um,
All right, good stuff.
and plus, again, more of the talent is now on defense than offense. More of the best players.
All right, here's Fredo. What up, Fredo? Man, I think Dallas Goddard is about to have a big season for some reason. And salute to you, Johnny Mac, the best in the business. Nice super chat.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I do think Dallas Goddard is. I think he's the best fit for this offense as far as just natural fit, and he should be targeted more, and he should be utilized more. And as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to have a pretty big season because this offense will utilize the tight end a little bit more than what they've been doing.
Good stuff, Fredo. Appreciate it. Here's Prince. What's up, Prince? I love you, brother. I know I was ripping you earlier, but it's all fun and games. Prince says, J-Mac, can you tell me who's on offense during 7-on-7s? We have some idiots in this chat that think passing the ball would be easier since it's 7-on-7.
Well, it is passing. Passing is much easier in 7-on-7, but yeah, I mean, who's out there? And it's basically 7-on-7, but the Eagles will line up 2 edge rushers just to give the look. So there's really 9 people, but you're talking about the back 7. You're talking about the linebackers, the corners, the secondary. And 7-on-7 drills are heavily weighted towards the offense. Like you should be good in 7-on-7s. You saw Todd Monken, if you're an NFL fan, complaining because his quarterbacks threw 2 interceptions on 7-on-7s, and that's unacceptable. Now he's a little harsh, but yeah, it's a drill heavily weighted towards the offense. That part is fair.
Prince, thank you, brother. Here is Pump again. What we know now with all the jealousy, infighting, and massages, boy, did Nick really galvanize that crew of men to ultimately achieve greatness in 2024.
Oh, man. Well, I think now some of the stupid conspiracy theories that were completely untrue. So it depends on which jealousy, infighting you're talking about, but a lot of what you heard is presumably bullshit. So again, I can't really talk about the goofy Discord rumors that people make up because somebody's cousin works in the building. But most of them turn out to be completely untrue. So I don't know. I talk about it all the time. You have 90 people. The next 90 people you meet, not everybody's going to get along. The Eagles have handled rosters in general better than most teams. So that's how I gauge it. You have shit going on in every NFL city.
Yep.
Every single one. And the Eagles are better at it than most. That's how you should gauge it. Not that they have a problem. Everybody has problems. It's one of my favorite Bill Parcells quotes. When he gave a list of advice to all his guys that became head coaches, he would give them a list of things. And one of the things was there's 4 or 5 things that happen every day as an NFL head coach that you don't want it to happen. And if you can't deal with it, don't try to get a head coaching job. Every day, there's shit you will never hear about that they have to deal with. And it could be, this guy thinks he's not playing as much, or this guy, or it could be as serious as legal issues, everything. But there's going to be 4 or 5 things every day that you don't want to deal with, but you have to deal with. And the Eagles handle that better than most. That's what you should be grading that part of it on.
Good stuff there. Pump, thank you for the super chats today, brother. Per usual, one of our best supporters on the channel. We love you. Here's Kimberly. It's not the scheme, it's the quarterback. It is what it is.
Well, the quarterback's been awfully successful, but so I agree with part of that, and I disagree with part of that. Like, I think people are way too caught up in you have to play the way they think a quarterback traditionally plays. And I'm of the belief that you got a good player, build around him. And I think that's what the Eagles are doing. Now the question is he declining? Potentially. I mean, we'll have to see. And maybe you'll have to move on after this season. But either way, when they do move on, whenever that is, I will be talking very glowingly about the Jalen Hurts era in Philadelphia. Make no mistake about that. So is he traditionally a great pocket style quarterback? No. Is he going to be? Can they teach him to be? No. I agree with Kimberly there.
Well, the same question I asked you about Nick. I mean, how much has Jalen Hurts' tenure in Philadelphia been aided and propped up or helped by what Howie Roseman's been able to accomplish from a roster standpoint?
Well, of course, everybody's, again, ultimate team game.
Right.
How much has Howie Roseman been propped up by a second-round pick, turning into a two-time Super Bowl quarterback, running around like a knucklehead off schedule, making play after play and big spot after big spot? How much did that elevate Howie Roseman's reputation? It works both ways.
It does. I think one is more important than the other, but I digress.
Well, I mean, I don't think the Eagles have 5 consecutive postseasons appearances, 2 Super Bowls, and 1 title with any other quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And that includes Patrick Mahomes, because and all the people that I say are more talented, like Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, because I don't know if they can build around those quarterbacks. I've already seen them build around this quarterback. So you got to build a completely different way to take advantage of somebody else. Maybe you can do it, maybe you can't do it. But with this group, they've already proven
that's fair, but that's fair. I mean, I see it a little differently, but that's fine. We got a couple more super chats to wrap it up. We got about 5 minutes left on the show today. A lot of good comments from all the great people of JAKIB Nation today. I'm happy we had a little Nick debate. We'll keep rolling. Here's Block Knowledge. What's up, Block? So if Hurts says he did not call for Verts, isn't that false gossip media pushed? It seems like selective rumor politics.
Well, if he's telling the truth, I mean, I can't speak to Jeremy and Tim, but I mean, they would have to speak for themselves. I mean, he denied it, though. Doesn't mean he's telling the truth. I think they had 10 or 11 different sources, so I don't know how many were related to that, but I can't really speak about that. But if it's not true and he's telling the truth, I mean, I know it's an obsession for people. Whoever made the decision, it's not even that bad of a decision. I've always been on that. I mean, people act like 4 verts is not common in the NFL. It would have worked the play before. They ran the same damn play. It would have worked. Drop the football. So I've always been in that camp from day one. When you're what was it, 4th and 13? I don't even remember. There aren't a lot of 4th and whatever plays in the playbook that are going to be successful, especially in a condensed area.
Yeah.
Like you're almost, when that's successful, you're it's almost 9 times out of 10 a significant mistake by the defense.
Right.
I mean, nobody's got a sheet of 4th and 13 plays that are like, hey, this is going to work. That's just, and who knows if he threw it sooner and was 100-mile-an-hour fastball and he stuck it in his gut, nobody'd be talking about 4 birds. But yeah, I can't speak to other reporters, but also but what I can speak of, oftentimes you are told things and you report those, and you're framing it in somebody else's vision, and that's their belief, and you report it. So it could be both, but the fact that Jalen said he didn't call it or he didn't advocate it or however doesn't necessarily make it true. I always say, no, like when he answered my question on Scott Leffler, he just wanted continuity. Do I believe that? No, I don't. I think it was
he's also said things at times on the mic that are that contradict themselves.
exactly.
So I'm not criticizing them for that, but to your point, you're
either
not
am
under
I.
oath. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Here's Sauce It Up. I heard Carter's camp wants $45 million. All right. Well, if that's
No,
true,
that he ain't getting 45 million.
no, come on. $45 million, please.
Chris Jones is the top guy at 31.75, I think, right now. Yeah, it's not how it works.
32 for Carter.
Well, he wants more than that, but
you
ain't going from 31.75 to 45.
No, you're going. Give me 32. Come on, he hasn't been good enough for 45.
Well, certainly last year he wasn't. He hasn't been good enough.
He's only had one really good year. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
All right.
He's only had 3 years.
He's only had 3 years. That's fair. I mean, there's not a lot.
But he's had 2 very good years and 1 below average year. He was very good as a rookie. I thought he should have been defensive rookie of the year, but he didn't play enough. And then the next year they played him to death. And hopefully that doesn't impact him. But yeah, he's had 2 good years and 1 subpar year. And I think that was related to the shoulders more than anything else.
Sauce it up. That's too much, man. But I appreciate the super. Here's Pump. Fellas, this is too great of a day to let these Jalenites push these narratives. Hurts was shaky AF with that response. He definitely called 4 verts.
Well, there's a lot of people who think he didn't call it because that's not his job. But
it's the ultimate GPS test, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
If you decided it's Hurts already, you will think he lied. If you don't think it was Hurts, you will think he said the truth.
And you can play those semantic games because obviously he didn't call the play. Kevin called the play. But he asked him what he was comfortable with, and that's what they came up with. So he was involved. But, if you're Jalen, you could say, well, I didn't call it.
And Jalen also does, technically.
And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that play. You've been bamboozled. Nothing.
Yeah, but John, it doesn't technically Hurts have the final say when that microphone in the ear goes off with 15 seconds. Technically, Jalen has the last authority to decide.
He could go rogue, but
is it going rogue? I don't think people look at it as going rogue if it's Peyton Manning at the line changing the call. Maybe they don't.
What I'm saying by that is when he goes off script completely, like no Moss situation in Green Bay, and he's told not.
Don't you want your $55 million 7-year veteran?
No, not like that.
Have that autonomy.
Because to your point, Peyton and anybody else, and they're not doing that. If it's a no Moss situation, or if it's a 4th and season on the line situation, if you see something open, great. But if you're just doing it to do it, like they did in Seattle or they did in Green Bay with AJ, that's going rogue.
That's fair.
Yeah. But certainly if you see something that people are like, they're blowing the coverage and nobody's lined up on the receiver on the other side, yeah, by all means, sight adjust and take advantage of it. But in the case of, people have been bamboozled. They think Four Birds is weird. There's 32 NFL teams. 32 of them will run Four Birds many, many times next season.
Yeah, situational obviously dictates, I guess. Here's Kanzu. Last one, John, for the show today. Appreciate all the super chats. Kanzu says this. Hurts may want out to go to a team like the Colts or the Vikings to get consistency to show what he can do. He is kind of
no such thing as consistency. Number
21
one, but
teams have a new OC this year, Kanzu.
Exactly. Now, in the case of Minnesota, like Kevin O'Connell calls the plays, so you might have some consistency at play caller, but you might not have the consistency at offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach. So the idea of in this era in the NFL just does not exist. If you're just specifically limiting it to play caller, head coaches that call plays if they're successful. But even like Kevin O'Connell's got this big reputation. Guess what? If he has another bad season, he's on the fucking hot seat. It goes quick in the NFL. And with JJ McCarthy and Kyler Murray, he's probably not having a great season. So be careful what you wish for.
Kanzu, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All right, Johnny Mac, good stuff today. A lot of good commentary on the program today. Minicamp, done and dusted. OTA, done and dusted. AJ Brown trade, done and dusted. We're getting ready.
By the way, any apologies on AJ yet? Have we gotten any? Any of the AJ Brown truthers?
I actually do. I do have to give credit to Dominique Dabney.
All right, I'm glad there's somebody.
He came in the chat and he had like a little chat bet with somebody that AJ would be here, and he popped in and just said, "I was wrong. I'll pay up my bet." I don't know if
nice. I like it.
So he did. He got to give credit to Dominique Dabney. The rest of them are,
I respect it.
Narrative. Yeah,
but to the point of media. We don't lie to you. We don't lie to you. You don't last long. I'll tell you what, you don't last long if you're lying.
That's true. Johnny Mac, your final thought here on a football Friday, my friend.
To your point, done and dusted. Here we go. Off season, list season. Get ready. Short week. You picked the perfect time to get married and go on a honeymoon. List season. It's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah. It's very true. All right, J-Mac, good stuff, man. I'll catch up with you a little bit later.
All right, see you, bud.
Later, dude. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here. Give him a follow at JF McMullen. Good show today, everybody. We had a lot of good debate and commentary between J-Mac, the chat, the super chats, Prince as always checking in, Big Flex checking in, Kanzu's checking in. Everybody was checking in today with a take. Everybody's got a take and an opinion about something. All right. You know what they say? Opinions are like a-holes. We all got one, right? We all got one. What list are we I don't know, Kimberly. I'm going to have to leave that out. It's good for me. I'm not on the show for those next 2 weeks. Not next week, but 2 weeks. So they're going to have to talk about whatever list they come up with, I'll have my feet kicked up, overlooking the Amalfi Coast, freaking basking in the glory of that Italian sun. And I love all you guys, but I won't be thinking about you at all. All right. Ian, what's up, Ian? Z, quick one, just to say best wishes for your wedding and honeymoon. And all I'll say is try to enjoy every minute of the day before it goes quick. Ian, thank you, man. All right. Thank you, brother. JD says, Zander with that part-time schedule. JD, I work hard enough to be able to make it up, do what I need to do, my friend. If that bothers you, JD3, that's on you, my guy. Don't be a little buttercup. Z, tell Dabney to come back. I'll cancel my Theo. He came back for like 2 minutes and then he's gone. I don't know. He might be listening. I actually like Dabney. I don't mind people having an opinion, sticking to their opinion, believing in their take. I don't have problem with confidence. I don't have problem with somebody disagreeing with me and believing what they're saying. I think we're all adults here, right? We can disagree with someone, right? Who's winning the World Cup? I don't even know. I don't know the simplest thing about the World Cup. Like I don't even know how it works. I don't know who participates. I don't know where the players come from. I don't know a thing. I don't know where they're playing. I don't know how it works. I don't know the rules of the game. I don't know. I don't know a thing. I don't know a thing. Zander, enjoy the trip. Jimbo, thanks, dude. I have a funny feeling we're not. Oh, that might be true, Jason. Either agree with everything or F you. That's fair, Keys. The whole wedding thing. A little emasculating. No? Anybody agree with me on that? The whole thing. It's like it's not really my style. You know? Whole thing feels very emasculating to me. I don't know why that is, but it just is. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but that's certainly how I feel. Yeah. It is. At least it feels it is to me, Jason. You know? It's like the theatrics of like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Jason says not at all. All right, we disagree. A memory for a lifetime. Rich, fair enough. Fair enough. Exactly. It's for my wife. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I knew Prince would know what I meant by that. I knew Prince would do what I meant. I think I'll definitely cry some tears for sure. Yeah, Rich. Me and her are on the same page about everything. You know, I believe me. I know exactly what's going through her head. Gary, believe me, in hindsight, the right move, my friend. Well done by you. Well done by you, Gary. Well done by you. Say the woman. Oh, she does. Believe me, Kimberly. I think her family's not very happy with me because they expected me to like plan this thing and like, you know, that's Xander getting married. It was nah, come on, Brandon. Brandon, you don't trust me to pick a good wife? Brandon, you don't trust me? Come on, Brandon. That's right. You don't have to trust me. Jason, that's a good gig. You make some money at this. 3 kids and 10 years later. Gary, God bless you, brother. It's beautiful. All right. Xander, go be happy and F everyone else. Fredo, good advice, my friend. Your job is, yeah, I know, Daz. Don't worry. I got you. Flex, you're telling me, bro. I know. Underdog, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Underdog, why? Color me surprised. Prince says, I wanted 5 kids. I'm hoping to have a lot of kids. I mean, we'll see what the world brings me. We'll see what the future, you know, I don't want to play God. I'm not gonna sit here and play God. Whatever I'm blessed with, I'll be happy with. I would love to have a huge family one day, for sure. Yeah, Rich, I think I'll be the same. Although I'm not a big traveler. I've talked about this on the show. So, you know, like my sigh of relief will probably be when I land back in Philadelphia. That's not to say I will not enjoy the Italy and things of that. It's not to say I will not enjoy it. It just means when I get back to my home, I think that's when you can, all right, I'm back. I'm back in control. I'm back where I know. All right. Feels better that way. You'll love it. Yeah, my mom and sisters have been to Italy. Obviously, my mom's 100% Italian. All my grandparents are, my great grandparents on my mom's side, both sets of them. So my mom's grandparents on her mom's side and my mom's grandparents on her dad's side were both fresh off the boat immigrants from Italy, 2 different places in Italy. So I have a lot of Italian in my blood. So I do think I will love Italy. But again, I don't know Italy. I don't live in Italy. I'm in a hotel. Like I like to be in control of my environment, Italy does look dope. Yeah, Prince, I'm worried sick about that part of it, dude. You're running a business. It's like I can't turn my phone off. I can't not check on my work. It's impossible. So Zander time will consist of diaper. I'm good with that, Gary. Bring on the kids. Bring on the kids. Bring me back. I could bring you back keychain flex. I'll do that for you, brother. Jair says, nice to see you stepping in the company. Nice, Jair. Thank you, bro. It's a beautiful thing to step in the covenant. The wise words of Jalen Hurts. This time next year, Z will be doing Birds 365 with the baby carry-on. That would be pretty cool, actually. Gotta give the baby a little bop on the head. Hey, shut up, man. Talking into the mic. Bop. Hey, Z, listen to us, old guy. Rich, I'm all ears, my friend. You want to send me an email with your advice? I'll take it. Rich, go ahead. Zander at JAKIB Sports. I am all ears, my friend. Zander, you posted videos of my trip? Probably not, dude. That's a weird ass comment from in fact, that's a diddler. No diddlers allowed. All right. Jason, I love you, but you're not a parent if you have a dog. Come on, dude. That's like the new thing. It's like my baby and it's a dog. It's like, no, you got a dog. You have a pet. You're not a parent. Come on. Let's be real here. Let's not disrespect parents. All right. Jason, I love you. You're not a parent. You have a dog. It's like the cat ladies, and they're like, oh, I'm a cat mom. No, you're not. You're a cat owner. You're a cat owner. It's over. No, it's not, Jason. Stop it. Jason, come on. How could you be so naive? Raising a child is not the same as raising a pet. Oh, gosh. You guys are fools. I'm a dog dad. Woo! I buy a $60 bag of kibble every month, and I walk them around the block 3 times a day. I'm a dog dad. Yeah, come on. Come on here. All the hamster dad. Yeah, I guess. Jason, I've owned a dog my whole life, dude. Come on. I had my own dog in college. He passed away last year. You guys knew. Fucking rocked me. I was depressed about it. Loved my dog. I still miss my dog. Guy was the best friend I ever had in life. Dude, never freaking guy listened to everything I had to say. Helped me through everything. Dude loved me unconditionally. Didn't care whether I had a good day, a bad day, happy, sad, stressed, not stressed, relaxed. Didn't matter. My boy was right there. Dude was a freaking legend. Exactly. Dogs don't talk back. I have 2 dogs and 2 boys. I can imagine. Yeah, they're definitely not the same. Jimbo says, I'm gonna go walk my kid. That's funny as shit. I have a dog and 4 kids. 4 kids, that's a blessing, Jerry. Congrats, brother. All right. Yeah, I know. Kevin, you know what makes me sad though? It'll never be the same because my dog, I got him in college. I got him in college right before I dropped out of college. So I got him in October of, I don't know, I was 19 or 20 years old. I got him October. I dropped out in March. I remember talking to my parents at the time and saying, I don't think I want to continue school. It's a lot of money. I'm not getting the most out of it. I don't believe it's setting me up for what I want to do in life. You know what was one of my final straws in college was I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. In fact, I've been an entrepreneur really since I was, 14, 15 years old, all different businesses, you name it. I've done it. I've always had money in my pocket. That's why I get a kick out of people who are like, I'm some spoiled trust fund baby. I'm like, I didn't grow up like that, but whatever. I don't really care what people think. I got great family. I'm proud to say that. That doesn't make me self-conscious to have a great family. But I took an entrepreneur class in college, right? I took an entrepreneur course because I wanted to do a minor in entrepreneurship and with my business major. So I go into this entrepreneurship class, and there's this lady teaching, and God bless her, she was a nice lady. But I remember being there, and I always sat front row in classes I cared about. And I'm sitting front row, and the more we start, getting into the class and everything, and, I think I asked one day, like, have you ever built a business that you're teaching me how to be an entrepreneur? Never built a business. She was a teacher for 30 years. I'm like, I don't want to disrespect you, but with all due respect, how are you going to teach me how to run a business? Because of what a textbook says? Anybody who's ever run a business knows that you can't teach how to run a business in a textbook. It's just impossible. So again, I don't mean that with disrespect to the lady. It's not her. She's, paid to teach a class. But I'm just saying, I remember being like at the time, college is how much money a year? How much money a year? I don't think this is making the most sense for me to spend money here, So I dipped out of there before the college debt kept racking up, and I dipped out of there. And I started my first business right away. Right. I actually had a business my sophomore year of college, which failed. That failed miserably. I worked at the Windrift in Avalon in the summertime. I drove there every day. I worked like 12, 13, 14 hours a day. I was a bar back and a little bit of a bartender late in the summer. And I want to say I made like $18,000 or $20,000 that summer, which is pretty good for, just a summer gig. And I went back to college, and I remember the business I started, I took all $18,000 of my money and I put it into everything that we were building at the time. And not all right away, but throughout the course of 3-4 months. And I remember I didn't have any money left, and that was supposed to be my money in theory for my college year, and I was out of money. The business wasn't working. And that was my first business lesson. So the money went bye-bye. The business went bye-bye. It was good. I had some success actually with it, but ultimately it didn't end up working out. And after that, I dipped, and then I started another business. This one was a little more successful. That's when I started. I left college, and I was in the I was studying business, finance, and entrepreneurship. So I remember leaving college and saying, I'm going to go right into something that I know, something that I was learning about. And it was the financial world. And I started a business around finances and credit and helping people get their credit right, helping people do all things like that. That was decently successful. I was making, I don't know, not great money, but enough to pay my rent in Houston. I was making, I don't know, $1,500 a month, and my cost of living was $1,800. I was racking up a couple $100 of credit cards every month. I moved out of Houston with like $25,000 of credit card debt. It's the life of an entrepreneur. You're not going to make it right away. And I bootstrapped everything in my life. I bootstrapped JAKIB to this point. I still got issues with the financing here. So it is what it is. It's all a beautiful process. I love every part of it. Honestly, I would not change it for the world ever. I could never do it. I often say it about myself, I'm unemployable. I'm unemployable. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't think it's a waste of money for everybody, Prince. I don't. I think some people it makes a lot of sense. But here's Jair. Graduated nursing school yesterday. Man, congratulations, brother. Congratulations. See, there's a perfect example. College was not a waste of money for him. You know, that's a beautiful thing. I want to share the win with JAKIB Nation. This channel provided me with an outlet to de-stress. Much love all. Jair, congrats, dude. Well done by you, my friend. Keep grinding. It doesn't end here, my friend. It starts here. All right? Keep up the good fight. Never give up, ever. No matter what happens in your life. Never give up, ever. Keep grinding, Jair. Well done, my friend. Well done, brother. Some people aren't books. See, Flex, the funniest part about me is it was all about want to. Like, I did awful grades in high school. I think I had like a 2.3, 2.4 GPA. And it was not because I wasn't smart. It's because I didn't give a royal shit. Did not give a royal shit. I went to college, and I remember being this built-in like concern, you know, that I was going to not be good in college. And I went there and I got a 4.0 my first 2 semesters in college. Straight up 4.0. Never had a 4.0 in my life. 4.0 year 1. Then I had double surgery on my ankles. On my ankle, I had osteomyelitis in my ankle. I had to go back to college fresh off of a double surgery. I remember my parents were like, you should think about taking a semester off because this is going to mess you up. I went back, double ankle surgery. I was on a scooter for like months because it was a major surgery I had. And it just it messed up my whole college career because I couldn't get to class. Alabama's campus is massive. I was Ubering to class in a scooter. I was loading it up. I'm going up 3 flights of stairs in every freaking building. I just stopped going because I'm like, this is a fucking nightmare. I had no money for Ubers. Was out of money. You know, it was so that was really the tipping point of it no longer being good. I thought, Jimbo, I probably did do some of that. All right. I digress. I hate sitting in a desk listening to a lecture almost as much as I hate dancing. Curtis, you and me both, my friend. All right. You and me both, my friend. Let's go to Jerry. Jerry, thanks for the super chat. I have the greatest family on earth, and I don't know what I would do without them, especially being a double amputee. Do they have money? Yes, but my dad always told me I have money, not you. That's funny. Jerry, that's great stuff, man. Congratulations on having a beautiful family. That's the greatest blessing on earth. That's being rich. It's not money. Believe me, money. I always get infatuated by people's love affair with money. Like, it's a fucking piece of paper made up by man, and it goes in a printer whenever the government wants more of it. Like, dude, what are you stressing about? You know, I don't have this love affair with money. Money is used as a tool to build a life, to, you know, help your life. To obviously you need it. I'm not saying you don't need it. I'm just saying I think people hold on to it like it's, you know, like you can never get more of it. And the second you got that mindset, I think it's gonna run away from you. Then don't worry so much about when it's taxed. That's fair, Maya. All right. I'm with you, Prince. That's how you got to be. Can't take it with you, but yeah, I understand money. You got to understand it. I do agree. I think come in, Flex, amen, brother. All right. I'm with you, Daz. Money's a tool. All right, guys. I love all you guys. I love all you guys, man. Keep grinding, keep hustling, whatever you're doing in life. All right. The easiest advice, I think, and I don't know if I'm in a position to give any advice. I'm obviously trying to figure everything out myself, but never give up. Never give up. Sorry, my mic just unplugged. Oh. Can you guys hear me? You can hear me, right? All right, my mic unplugged, my bad. But never give up. And keep grinding. All right. I meant by that is I had to earn everything. That's true, Jerry. I love it, man. That's most people. Most people. So money isn't everything, but it's easier to live with it than without it. That's true, Rich. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. There's my boy HKP. I haven't seen him in a bit. Let me load that up. He says, trying to start my own thing. You're def motivating, Z. Appreciate you, man. You telling your stories makes me go harder. HKP, never give up, dude. Keep grinding. Put your face down and work. All right. Love all you guys. Hit that like button. Man, one more freaking week until my wedding. Yo, Rich, I'll take you up on that email. This wedding got me agita. I got agita, folks. I love you can sense it through the screen. You know, talking into a mic is a lot different than I don't know. Being the center of the wedding. So I love all you guys. Hit that like button. See you next. Oh, wait. Let me make sure I got all my supers. I did. All right. See you next time, everybody. Love all you guys.
EAGLES. Eagles.